What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be reviewing a brand new VR title. Now this is one that comes out on all platforms. It releases today, the 5th, if you've pre-ordered the deluxe edition. If you just have the standard version, it's coming out on the 7th of November. So this is Metro Awakening VR. This is coming out on the Quest, PC and PSVR 2, made by Vertigo Games, the same people who brought us the Arizona Sunshine games and the 7th Guest, and a plethora of other great VR titles. So this is a brand new game in the Metro series based on the book series. So originally the video game was Metro 2033, we then had Last Light and then Exodus, and now this one is Metro Awakening. Now this is VR exclusive and it's actually set previous to those games. So I believe obviously Metro 2033 was the first video game and this is actually set in 2028, so it's a few years prior to that. And you play as the character Surda, or Khan as you may know him if you've already played the other Metro games. So this is an existing character, but we're getting to see his origin story. Now one of the first things that comes to mind when you think about Metro is immersion and the atmosphere, and it's like the perfect game to be turned into a VR title in my opinion, and we're going to talk about if I think they've nailed it in this review. So a brief summary of the plot in this one is Surda, or Khan, is living in this metro station with all these people as you'd expect, and he has a wife in this game. This is a much more personal story compared to some more of the end game stories of the sequels. So this is more confined, it's more personal, and it's more about the characters. So Surda, or Khan, is trying to look for some medication for his wife, and also needs to track down his wife as well, because things are just going a bit chaos in the, I keep wanting to say vault, but the metro station that they are living in. So you basically have to go and get this medication, you have to go out into the metro and track down your wife as well. This is very much a spiritual awakening from the title as well. There's a lot of cool supernatural aspects to the story, as you would know if you play some of the Metros. But yeah, everything's not as it seems. It's not just a typical shooter. So that's basically what this game is about. You just got to go through all the different metro tunnels and stations and different plot points, different things, different surprises along the way. I won't spoil any of that, but I would recommend it. I think the story is pretty good in this game. But if you're a VR player, you're more here for the immersion and the gameplay and what it brings to the table. So I have played this on all platforms. I've played a little bit of the PC version, I've played the Quest version, and I primarily played the entire game on the PSVR 2 because I just felt like that was probably the best place to play it in my opinion, just for the amount of feature sets you get on the headset, which all play a part into why I do really like this game, and that is the OLED, the HDR, the colors and the atmosphere and the haptics. It all sort of works perfectly on the PSVR 2 version. Not to say the other versions aren't as good, it's just that was my primary way of playing the game. It took me around 8 to 9 hours to complete the game. I managed to do that quite quickly to get it out for this embargo, so I did spend quite a lot of time in the metro in long sittings, but it was way worth it. I believe the game runs at a 90 Hz native frame rate on the PlayStation VR 2. I'm not 100% certain. If you do know, let me down in the comment section, but I didn't notice any reprojection in the game. I didn't notice any ghosting or anything like that. It appears to be using the foveated rendering because you can see sort of the textures loading in and out as you're looking away from things and glancing over. So I do believe that is implemented, but another thing I'm not entirely sure about. So like I said, with the immersion in these games, even in the base games, you're like pulling out this notepad which has your objectives on. You're actually looking at a physical thing. You have to pull out your lighter to burn spider webs, light the metro tunnels up to see where you're going. So there's all of this stuff that's already baked into the base games, and that's why I think this is such a good game to adapt. And I do think they've done a really good job here with the VR version Awakening of bringing all of that in to make it the best it can be in VR. So the gas mask, that's one of the first things you notice, is you wear a gas mask in this game when you go into toxic environments. And you have a backpack system in this where if you reach over your shoulder, you can pull out your backpack and it have all of the things that you collected, from weapons, ammo, filters for your gas mask, grenades, all those kind of things. So when you ever go into an area in the game where there's some radiation, you'll start to see green glowing specks on your face and stuff. So you have to pull a gas mask out of your bag and place it on, and you do that physically. So you take it out of the bag, you place it, and then you can kind of see the vision of the goggles to know that they're wearing it, and you can also see the filter down below. So you don't have the complete field of view because you are wearing a mask, as if you were in real life. Your vision would be sort of hindered slightly, and it does add a lot to the impact, and also gives you a reminder that you're wearing a gas mask and you can take it off when you don't need to be wearing it when you're not in a radiation polluted area. So the way this works of knowing like when you need to swap out filters and things is you have a wristwatch in the game. So this gives you sort of like a light indicator to let you know when you're hidden in darkness for stealth, and also it gives you a timer on your filter, so you know exactly how much is left before you need to swap it out for a new one. The first time I did this, I didn't know how to swap the filter out and actually died from just not having any oxygen, but I soon figured out you had to reach into your backpack and pull the filter out and put it on. So it adds a whole another level of stress to the game where you kind of have to work on the fly to figure out what you need to do, and that goes into the gunplay and the combat as well, which I'll talk about very soon. But yeah, even in just aspects where you need to sort of pull out a gas mask and put a new filter on if you need it, and just do these things as quick as possible so you don't die from radiation. So with this version, with the HDR and the OLED panels, this is something I like to harp on whenever I'm doing a PSVR 2 review, is it just looks so damn good, like the darkness of it and the lights and the colors. This is one of the biggest differences I did see when playing between the different platforms. Now, the only thing I didn't try out was the PSVR 2 on the PC version. I would like to try that, but it's just a bit of a faff to sort of swap controllers around and do all those things. But I will do it at some point, but I didn't do it for this review, so I only played with the Quest 3 on PC. But one of the things I noticed when I booted up the Quest version is just like the main logo when you boot up the game, the amount of colors and vibrancy that you see on the PSVR 2 version was just like insane in comparison. Not like it looks bad on the Quest, but it was just a lot more washed out because you're not seeing those perfect blacks and you're not seeing those heightened colors from the HDR. So the HDR in the game really shows through. There's lots of areas in the game where you're going through tunnels and you'll see like a bright red light that's leading you to an exit, or a location where you need to check out, or maybe it's blood, I don't know. But sometimes you see green exit lights, and also you see these glowing toxic mushrooms, and it gives you an indicator that you're in an area where you might want to put the mask on. But they just look so cool in the headset with the HDR, with them just shining brightly and glowing. It's just like something you don't get to see in some of the other versions as good, but it just really adds to the immersion and the impact of it when you see all these bright colors mixed in with the contrast of the complete darkness. And this brings me on to the next thing. You have a headlamp in this game, and it doesn't have a constant battery, and one of the items you have in your backpack is this little charging windy thing. It's like a gyro thing where you kind of you just wind it like this. You'll probably be seeing gameplay, but you wind it until the level lights up, and it will give you like a bit of charge in your light to make it last for a little bit longer. So it's just like another thing of immersion where if you know that you're going into an area where there might be either complete darkness or monsters or things like that, and you need to charge a headlamp, it makes you think in advance, oh, maybe I should charge my headlight before I go in there, or at least if I charge it I can turn it off and then I can turn it back on and it'll be full. I'm not sure how it works as in if it draws down when you're not using it, but it just adds this whole other aspect of the game, and it makes it more immersive for VR because you're constantly having to get this thing out and wind it up physically, and it's just another extra bit of VR goodness. With the same charging device, you also use it to open up specific doors. A lot of the time it's in an area where you're kind of under pressure by enemies, so you kind of need to clear the room before you use it, but it has these little pinpoint things that you pull out of the charger and you hook it onto either a cable car or onto a door to open, and then you wind it up. So it's all these little things that just add extra little bits of immersion into the game. I've said this about 10 times now, but those are the things that makes the game stand out from other VR titles where it's just, oh, this is just a door. And some games you even just press a button to open a door. In this one, you're opening the doors with your hands and you are using your charger device to open up doors in a specific way. And there are also doors in the game where they're like heavy ones and you have to use two hands and pull them from the side and slowly open them, which also adds a little bit of fear factor when you're thinking, I don't know what's behind this door and I can't really do anything while both my hands are on the door trying to open it. So all of these things, I love it. I love how they've made this game very VR. Onto the combat and the weapons now. So all of the weapons in this game are sort of unique from other shooters. They're kind of handcrafted in a way. They look like they're sort of made from bits of scrap that they found around, but they work. So each gun has its own different mechanic of reloading, so that's always good to see. It's not just like a single weapon that you do the same reloading mechanic for. You'll have like a shotgun where you actually get the shotgun rounds and you load 4 of them up in 4 separate parts of the gun, and then you lock and load the bullet in. The rifle, you can pull a clip out and fill the clip up and put it back in as if you were using a normal rifle, which I've never done. Pistol, obviously the clip mechanic, pulling the clip out. Don't know if there's a way to find out how much ammo is in your gun at the time. When you have the assault rifle, you can kind of look physically and see how many bullets are in the clip. When it's the pistol, I think you have to actually pull the clip out and look at it, and you can see if you've got enough light on you, that is. But what I found was quite a good way to do it is if you aren't sure, if you think you're running low on bullets, you can pull the clip out put the clip back into your inventory, and then you pull a fresh clip out from all the bullets you've collected, because a lot of the time in this game you're not finding full clips, you're finding singular bullets, so you never really have a clue unless you look at your backpack, which I think it does have an indicator of how many bullets you have in general, but you don't really know what you have unless you sort of have a full clip or you reload. You always go into a gunfight either very unprepared or prepared because you've done some research beforehand. So there've been many times where I've walked into a room and I just get sprung on by tons of little rat rodent creatures chasing me. I'll go to kill them and I've only got one bullet in the clip, so it always goes in your favor to be prepared. So it gives you more of a reason to be prepared rather than just going gun-ho into a room and not be prepared and get absolutely slaughtered. I've never been someone who's been great at aiming in shooter games in VR. It's just one of those things I feel like unless the game gives me a lot of time to like really aim at someone, I end up like missing the shot, or I just panic and shoot and miss, because you've got to be really sort of reactive to it. You've got to hold the gun steady, you've got to look down the sights, and then you've got to make sure the enemy isn't moving too fast. So there's a lot that goes into it, but that's just combat in general in VR. And I think once I got towards the latter stages of the game, I've sort of nailed the combat a bit more. And there are a lot of different weapons in this game. There's the crossbow, which is like one of the most fun ones to use, because you can load all these singular arrows in and you flick it up to reload it, and you pull down the sort of handle to make it locked and loaded, and you can regain some of your ammo as well if you get like a clean shot in the head, or even if you miss, you can pull the bullets out of the walls. There's a blow dart in this game. There's the assault rifle, pistol, shotgun. Eventually you do get a silenced pistol, which is what I love to use in the main games. The only thing that I didn't find that was in the game was the throwing knives, and that was also one of the best things that I really enjoyed about the original games, was just sort of like sneaking around and throwing a knife in the back of someone's head, which sounds savage, but that's one thing I was missing from this game. But I feel like it could have been quite a disaster in trying to get it to work perfectly, especially if you're trying to get like stealth kills and trying to remain stealthy. If you miss that shot, you kind of screwed it up, so there'll be people replaying checkpoints over and over again. But I mean, if they ever do a sequel, I'd love to see them add in the throwing knives, because that is one of my favorite parts of the game. The music in the game is great as well. I mean, a lot of it is adaptations of the original source material from the earlier games, but seem to see a lot of music in this one was been remixed a bit, especially towards the end of the game. There's some really sort of emotional music as you're getting up to some of these sort of emotional story beats, and I thought the music was really good. It really got you into that mood of like, oh, something's going down here, or this is supposed to be emotional. And yeah, I really think they did a good job with the music. With VR, it's always the whole package, and I think they've really nailed it with this one. One more thing about nails. The detail on some of the weapons and stuff when you really look at them are just awesome. When you pick out the grenade and if you take a really close look at it, you see it's like a dynamite stick, and there's just tons and tons of nails all strapped around it, and it's just those little details in the weaponry and your gear and stuff. It's just it's next level, and it makes you feel like you're in this world, and this is going to do some serious damage. One thing I wish the game would have would be sort of like a separate mode, sort of like the one you have in the Arkham games, where you have to clear a area of enemies silently, or in any way really. I'd love to see a mode where you could just take all of your arsenal and go in and just try and kill as many people with whatever weapons you want. Maybe not so much worry about ammo, or maybe there's modes where you do have to worry about ammo, but I'd love to just jump in and have a mode where I can just go around with a silenced pistol and try and kill everyone, or just go guns blazing with the shotgun, the dual wielding weapons and stuff. Because the game is so tense and you're sort of starved of ammo, it'd just be great to have a mode where you can unleash all of your arsenal and the skills you've picked up throughout the game. So that'd be one thing I would love to see, is just a way that you can let loose in this game, and it'd make me jump back into the game more often after finishing the title. So this has all been off the top of my head. There's probably some things that I've missed, but I highly recommend this game. I think this was maybe in my top 3 of most anticipated VR games of the year, and I think at the minute as it stands, I've not played Batman Arkham Shadow, but this is up there. This could be my VR game of the year. And there's still a few more to come. We still got Behemoth and Alien Rogue Incursion, but so far so good. This is a great title. I would pick it up if you're looking for a story-based game on PSVR 2 or any of the VR platforms, because they've done a really good job of optimizing this. The Quest, I don't know how they've done the magic of making that look so good as it is on the standalone headset, but it does. It looks great. PC looks great as well, and all versions look great. So wherever you're playing, you're in for a treat with this game. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. Let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are, if you're planning on picking up, or if you've already played it by this point, or tell me your favorite game in the Metro series. I want to know everything, so let me know down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.